Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are looking at one of my newest obsessions, which is fountain pens. So this is the Ranga Abhimanyu in Fire Dancer Acrylic. Let's take a look. So, why fountain pens? Even during my academic years, when we used to use pen and paper, I used to prefer the feeling of a gel pen on paper. How the nib kind of tends to glide on the page. And in the recent years, most of my work has been typing based, coding, etc. And I started to realize that I was not able to write properly, on paper. It was a weird feeling, which is what spurred me into kind of, looking back and experiencing uh, writing again. You watch a few penmanship clips here and there, get curious, order something online, and then you kind of get to experience writing with a fountain pen, which is quite nice. It's a slow, deliberate, and tactile experience that is kind of lacking in our highly digitized lives, to be frank. Now, part of that experience hinges on the kind of paper you use, the nib material, as well as the ink. And yeah, I'll be making some of those videos down the line talking about all of those items. But for now, we're going to focus on this guy. This is the Ranga Abhimanyu model. This pen comes from an Indian manufacturer called Ranga Pens, which is run by a father son duo. They are a pretty old brand that has been creating handmade pens for quite some time. And this is one of their offerings in acrylic. This particular pen comes in lots of different types of materials like ebonite, which is sort of a hardened rubber, and this is acrylic, which is sort of a plastic, but this is a glossy finish plastic. And this is a completely handmade pen, which is amazing. Now, the design is not necessarily unique, but I haven't seen many pens in such a design uh, that often. Apart from a unique design, I must say the pen feels very good in the hand. It fits very well. The acrylic is very smooth. We have a cap which has a cap liner which stops ink from drying up. We have the nib, the feed. This part is called the section, and the rest is the barrel or the body of the pen. Uh, to fill in the ink, we have to open up this barrel, which does take quite a few turns. We'll have to keep going. Yep, there we go. Almost. Yep. Inside, we see a cartridge converter, which essentially replaces a cartridge, which are pre-filled ink cartridges, which are usually used in throw. So a cartridge converter allows you to fill the ink multiple times, as well as different types of ink if you want to experiment with that. And it's easy to remove this as well, but I'm not going to do it because it's already filled with some ink. One of the reasons this pen takes so long to open, there are so many twists, is because you can make it an eyedropper filler, which is you can put ink directly inside the pen and then you can screw it, and this way there's less chance of it leaking out. And when you want to use it and append it this way, you're sure that ink won't come out, but you get a really large capacity this way. The pen also seals well when the cap is closed. And this is a thing about the engineering around the Ranga pens, and I have multiple Ranga pens, is that the cap opens with one or just slightly above one twist of the cap. So if you see one and just a little bit more, and there you go, you're ready to write, which is amazing. Not a lot of pens are able to do this, but given it's a handmade pen, this is amazing. Oh, and about fountain pens, not all are our usual snap cap or pull cap pens. If you pull on a twist pen, you can damage the threads. So it's essential that given any pen, just try to rotate it. That way, you will know if there is a thread, and you won't damage it. And if there is no thread, no harm done. All right, now let's take a look at the nib on this pen. This is a Yovo number 6 1.1 stub nib, um, which is essentially a flat nib at this side. It rides slightly different than the usual pointy nibs that we're kind of used to. We will take a look at how this particular nib rides, but before we go to the writing sample, I want to show something which is amazingly unique for this pen. You must have noticed so far, but this is how the close-up looks like. And yeah, you can see that white shimmer show up. It's There is no texture. This entire pen is smooth to the hand, but the acrylic has this beautiful internal light that shines through at some sections. Um, I've heard that the word is called chatoyance, and yeah, this is how the nib looks close. It's a steel nib, um, and oh, there's some ink on my fingers. It's a hazard of using fountain pens. You will find inky fingers all the time. You get used to it, but just look at the gorgeous acrylic that we see here. We will also take a quick look at the size comparisons. This is it compared to a Lamy Safari, which is a pretty well known fountain pen, about 13 centimeter in length, both of them. And I just wanted to show one more thing, one more time, the effect of the acrylic. And this is how it looks towards the top. It's tapering to a fine point and has this sort of cone on both the ends. Just gorgeous. All right, let's see how this pen writes. I'm going to write a quick panagram, which will essentially cover all the letters of the alphabet. You can make really thin lines, and if you hold it slightly differently, you make really thick lines. So this is great for, you know, italics, cursive style of writing, as well as uh, black letter kind of fonts if you want to do that as well. Here is a close up of another writing sample that I did. I'm talking about the pen, the ink, and the paper. The ink is diamine winter spice. It's a brown ink with a slightly green sheen. It also has some glitter in it, but I have not filled the pen with the glitter part of the ink that can be done. It just looks like a warm brown, and overall, I really like how it comes out, looking, you know, very stylized, italic. For final thoughts on the Abhimanyu, look wise, it's a pretty unique pen. The shape is not a very standard uh, factory put out shape. Obviously, these pens are handmade to order. So once you place the order, Mr. Ranga will actually make them directly. The Fire Dancer resin is about this orange which goes through the black, is beautiful. Personally, I find it more akin to a black koi fish, but that's just my perspective on the matter. Overall, it's not a large pen, but it is sufficiently girthy to use. Apart from that, I haven't had any issues with it. The nib dryouts were mostly due to the inks being fast drying, but otherwise, it just performed well all the time. Given for a handmade pen, it doesn't display any issues or, you know, manufacturing defects as such. On top of that, the fact that it twists open in a 1.5 turn is an amazing engineering feat, I would say, and just displays the kind of workmanship that can be found. And I'm really proud that, you know, this is an Indian manufacturer that's bringing such pens to the market. This is in no way an affiliated video. However, I am going to put the link to the Ranga Pen's website in the description so that you guys can go and also take a look at what all do they offer. And maybe if you like something and you are also a collector of fountain pens like me, you may probably already know of Ranga, but if not, I'd be glad um, to introduce you to this particular manufacturer. This was the Ranga Abhimanyu and my showcase of the pen. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you have any questions and queries about fountain pens in general, or anything else that you are curious about in this particular video. Happy to assist. This is from a creative desk. See you next time.